أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهني في الدين ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, dear sisters, to our weekly class of Journey Through the Quran. Alhamdulillah, today we will have our recap that we have achieved. It will all become public knowledge. At the moment, we're usually very happy because there's certain things that we've done, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it possible to keep that not so favorable thing hidden, and we seem to think that we can get away with everything. But on that day, all the secrets will become public knowledge. So everybody will know about the things that you did not want them to know, which is rather unfortunate. So this is why we need to keep ourselves doing things that we would not keep ourselves upright. We keep ourselves morally correct. We don't allow ourselves to fall and think, well, nobody will hear about this, so I can do what I like. People will hear about it. There will come a stage where everybody will know about about the things that you have done. And it's Allah's favor and mercy upon us that He doesn't catch us out straight away. So it is Allah's favor that when we've done something bad, when we've done something that we're not proud of, when we've done something that really we shouldn't have done, it's Allah's mercy and favor upon us that He doesn't catch us out straight away. We don't get caught out right slap bang in the middle of while we're doing it, or as soon as we've done it, and we're exposed and shamed and so on. And that doesn't happen because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, and it's because of Allah's mercy that does not happen to us. And then we learned that we must be grateful for our blessings and not dwell on the things that we don't have. And this is one that a lot of people struggle with. We all know we have blessings. We all know we've done really well in life. We all know that what Allah has given us is sheer mercy from Allah. We don't actually deserve those blessings, but Allah's given it to us. Yet what we do is we will not mention the blessings. We will not be grateful for the blessings. Instead, we will dwell on our problems. Oh, I haven't got this. Oh, I haven't got that. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do that. I couldn't manage this. I couldn't manage the other. Whereas we hardly ever say, Alhamdulillah, Allah's given us a comfortable bed to sleep in at night. Allah's given us enough food in the cupboards where we don't have to worry for weeks and months. And Allah's given us a nice family, and Allah's given us some form of transport. It may not be the best, but some form of transport that Allah's given us, and we have so much to be grateful for. But instead, we dwell on so much to be down about and not so much to be grateful about. Whereas it should really be the other way around. We should be more on the grateful side about all the fantastic things that we do have, rather than crying and moping about what we do not have. We learned about the jinns, and we learned that they do not know the unseen, because a lot of people seem to think that the jinns know the unseen. The jinns do not know the unseen. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the unseen. And if the jinns were to know the unseen, last week, if you remember, we studied that Sulaiman alayhi salam, he had power over the jinns. So he would make them work for him. He would make them sort of like do hard labor. And what happened is that he passed away, and the jinns knew nothing about it. And they would still working, they carried on working for some tafsir alims have said that it was over a year. And they said that they carried on working until this little worm or worm-like creature ate away at Suleiman's, peace be upon him, stick. He was leaning on his stick, and the stick actually gave way because this little animal, this little creature gnawed at it, and it was sort of like until the stick fell. When the stick fell, that's when the jinns knew that. When we were doing the questions and answers, I think it's good to actually have a little touch on the questions and answers about the jinn creatures. We spoke about the fact that people seem to control jinns. They think they control jinns, and these are not sort of like the use and eyes normal casual people. These are people who say to you that we know the unseen and we can do this and we can do that and we can do the other for you. Now, they do not control the jinns, it's the jinns that control them. So we've got to get that fact right. That when they tell you that they control the jinns, it's definitely not the case. They do not control the jinns. The jinns are controlling them. So because they do things for the jinn will do them a couple of favors as well. Because for jinns to do certain things, it's not a big deal. They can travel very fast. They can converse with your because we have two angels with us, the one that writes all the good and the one that writes all the bad, and the Gatavan Karim, and the one that's not so good, they can actually link up, they can speak to each other, and when they speak to each other, he will ask them certain questions and they will answer them, and of course, because they're your angels, they've been with you forever and ever, they know what you've been through. So if they've spoken to them about, let's say, an incident in your life which happened when you were young, no one knows about it apart from you and perhaps your mother or a couple of people in the family. And then when you find that this person knows about it, you're taken back. You think, oh my God, they know everything, but they really do not know everything. It's only because they link up with your jinn that they know, they think that they know everything. So when you go to these people that say that they know everything, this is what they are doing. Do not go to people that say that they have control over jinns and they can help you in this and they can help you in that. And you know that the person who is trying to help you, so to speak, you know that they are not doing it in the correct manner if they say that I need to know your name and your mother's name. So they ask you for your name and they ask you for your mother's name. Because this is sort of like, in the world of jinns, this will be, your ID. You don't want to be giving people that. You don't want to be giving people your mother's name. So if they're doing that, then they are not doing the right thing. Then they are obviously sort of like playing around with what they should not be playing around with. And we should decline and we should be away from these people altogether. Now, then we learned that ingratitude causes a decline in your blessing. And this is what we just spoke about a couple of minutes ago, that when we are not grateful, then obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes it away. Affluence in this world does not mean that Allah is pleased with you. But we can, people usually think that because we're well off and I have money, I have children, I have a nice big house, Allah must be pleased with me. It's your worldly status, your wealth in this world, your service for people who don't believe. And people who don't believe, the disbelievers, Allah, there's nothing to say that Allah is pleased with them, but Allah gives them as well. So your affluence in this dunya does not mean that Allah is pleased with you, because we usually take it as an indicator that Allah must be pleased with me. The nation of Sabah had advanced technology, and they made dua against themselves. They made dua that, we've got too much to do, we're really busy, oh my God, it's where we go is not far enough, it's just like, home from home, we want distances between us and so on. And they made dua against themselves, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their dua. And Allah replaced their sweet fruits with bitter fruits. And Allah replaced their blessings with worry and grief. And how awful is that? How can we expect to live fulfilled lives if we are making du'as against ourselves in that manner? And when gratitude is not instilled in a person, they become a complainer, and they complain about everything. And we all know people who will who will blame everyone else, who will blame everyone else for their downfalls, who will always say, it's his fault that this happened to me, it's her fault that this happened to me, why did this happen? It happened because of him, it happened because of her. So we all have people that all these people that do the complaining, they blame themselves, and they have a nature of always complaining about everything. Risk distribution is in the hands of Allah. So your risk is with Allah. No one can stop you getting what Allah has decreed for you. So whether you're working, whether you're not working, whether you've been made redundant, whether someone was working in the family and they're no longer working and you were dependent upon them, none of that is what brings your risk. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gives you your risk. So it's in the hands of Allah. Don't ever think that other people are in control of your risk. That's something that Allah has kept to Himself. He did not allow other people to do the distribution. He is responsible for the distribution Himself. So those who doubted will not enter Jannah. So those people that think, well, maybe there is a God, and yeah, well, I do believe in something supreme, but I'm not really quite sure. Then that's that we need to give them the Quran. We need to give them the proof, because if they're doubting, then they're not believing, and they will not enter Jannah. And on that day, we learned that, of course, on that day, people will see everything with their own eyes. They will see the angels, they will see the maison, they will see people running around, they will see everything with their own eyes. And at that stage, they will think, yeah, I believe. But now there's no point in believing, because it's too late. You cannot believe at that stage. You should have believed when you were in this dunya, before your death rattles began. And that's for everyone. People, they can believe, let's say, 2 days before their death, and they die as believers. And you can sort of like, once you see the angels, then there is no way that you can say, oh, now I believe, because everybody will see the angels at their death, upon their death. And of course, when you see them, you realize that there is, God is there, and it's the angels that's come to take your soul. And that plenty of life to learn, to find out, to lead. So today's surah is, Alhamdulillah, is Surah Fatir. So Surah Fatir. Well, let's begin with Surah Fatir. Originator of creation, or the angels. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and thanks are Allah's, the only originator of the heavens and the earth, who made the angels messengers with wings, 2 or 3 or 4. He increases in creation what He wills. Verily, Allah is able to do all things. So you notice how many surahs in the Quran, they begin with Alhamdulillah. Because we're being taught to say Alhamdulillah. All praise is to Allah. And it's realizing that all praise belongs to Allah. But who is Allah? Do we realize that who Allah is? He's not just, we learned this in our surah last week as well, that He didn't just create me and you and, a couple of things around us. He created every single thing that exists in this dunya. All creatures Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. We are unaware of most things in this dunya. What do we know? We know there's pet dogs and cats, and there's fish in the sea, and there's we only know a few things. Perhaps you go to Pakistan and you see other animals, and we know of them. That's all we know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created so many creatures, so many things that we are totally unaware of. And one of them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is the angels. And we read about the angels, and we have to have the belief in the angels. And the angels were created from light. The Prophet ﷺ said that he saw angel Jibreel alayhi salam in his true form. And Jibreel alayhi salam had 600 wings, each of which filled the horizon. And there were multicolored pearls and rubies falling from his wings. Subhanallah, how beautiful is the creation of the angels. And these angels, who have wings, we learn that they're not the wings that are weak and mild. They are wings that are strong, and they can. When the story of Hajj, where the angel just tapped the wing onto the surface, and the water came out. And also these angels, we learn that they lower their wings at the seekers of knowledge, out of happiness of what they are seeking. So these angels, they lower their wings at the seekers of knowledge. And we, who are we? We are the seekers of knowledge. So we should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's angels, they are lowering their wings to us out of happiness, because we are seeking the ilm, the knowledge of Allah. And the wings, like we said just earlier, that they are very, very powerful. We learned that Hajjah, when she was looking for water with her child, she was looking for water for her child, and she saw the angel at the place of Zamzam. And the angel struck the earth with its heel or its wing, as we know, until the water gushed out. So the water just gushed out. So these wings are not delicate; they're very powerful and they're very beautiful. Ayah number 2. Whatever of mercy Allah may grant to mankind, none can withhold it, and whatever He may withhold, none can grant it thereafter, and He is Almighty, All-Wise. O mankind, remember the grace of Allah upon you. Is there any creator other than Allah who provides for you from the sky and the earth? That none has the right to be worshipped but He. How then are you turning away from Him? And if they deny you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so were messengers denied before you, and to Allah returns all matters for decisions. O mankind, verily the promise of Allah is true. So let not the present life deceive you, and let not the chief deceiver deceive you about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who is the chief deceiver? Do we know who the chief deceiver is? It is said that the chief deceiver is Shaitan. And what is the deception of Shaitan? That he makes people think that this life is everything. He gets people sort of like lost in this life, thinking that they have everything, they want everything, this is everything, this is it. And they also think that they're going to live forever. Most of us, if you look at our ages, how many people do we know who are similar age to us who have passed away? And they passed away when we were 10 years ago, when we were that 10 years younger, 20 years ago when we were 20 years younger. So many of our friendship group people have passed away in it. But we seem to think that we're going to be the ones that are going to be living forever. But we are not. And they at the time must have assumed that they were going to be living forever. When your time comes, it's usually, I've seen people who've been fit, healthy and active, and within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, let's say 2 months, of a certain illness, they have passed away. So that's one of Shaitan's deceptions for us, is the fact that we think that we're going to live forever. We think we have power, we think we have money, but it is all Allah's. We hardly ever think that Allah's given me this to use. We just think it's mine. We're just busy in the rat race. And Shaitan also makes us think that our wants are our needs. So our needs and our wants are very different. But what we seem to get confused about is the fact that our needs are now our wants, because our needs are fulfilled. So they're not. We don't need anything. But what we do want is the wants. So now the wants have become our needs, and this is all Shaitan playing with our psychology, constantly attacking us with, we want more gadgets, new gadgets. We've got to have the must-haves. We've got to have the designer suits. We've got to have the designer handbags. We've got to have the best upmarket, whatever is going at the time. And we think that when we have this, we're going to be happy, because we assume that other people who have this, who have a bigger house, who have a bigger car, who have the designer clothes, we think that they are happy, and we think that they are better than us. So we think that we have to have these as well, then we can compete with them and we can be like them. And in all reality, you look at any person, regardless of how much they have, they're never really satisfied. And that is the deception of Shaitan. So he is the chief deceiver, and we are all warned to keep away from the chief deceiver. Surely Shaitan is an enemy to you. So take him as an enemy. He only invites his followers that they may become the dwellers of the blazing fire. If we look at how we actually react to people who are not good to us, who have been, let's say, enemies to us, let's say that someone said something bad to us, not just us, then they extended it and badmouthed our children, our progeny to come. Would we be friends with them? And the answer is that, of course, we would not be friends with them. But this is what we're doing with Shaitan, because he said to our father, our Adam, that Adam, peace be upon him, that he will ruin all his progeny. And we know about this, we've read about this in the Quran, so we know that there is somebody that has actually put in this challenge, but we don't really take it too seriously. So therefore, we become friends with the Shaitan. We start befriending the Shaitan, knowing that he is out to ruin us. And sometimes we think that, do we even recognize him? Because if we recognized him, we would know that he is not a friend. He is just luring, he is just whispering to you and and I. And what do? Every time we fall for it. Every time we're those suckers that fall for the luring of a Shaitan. And the reason he does that is because he wants to take as many people as he can with him to the fire of hell. So how should you be treating a Shaitan? How can you treat him as an enemy? By obeying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us and not obeying Shaitan. And when we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is very annoying for the Shaitan. That is humiliating for the Shaitan. Fudail ibn Ayad said that, O liar, fear Allah on the apparent. You curse Shaitan, and then inside or in privacy, you are friends. So we say that we are not friends with Shaitan, but when we disobey Allah, then we are on the same team as Shaitan. So even though we are, we say that we are not friends with him, but by not obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then going with what the Shaitan actually tells us to do, to learn us to do, then we are actually obeying him, and we're on the same side as him. Ayah number 7. And those who disbelieve, theirs will be a severe torment. And those who believe and do righteous good deeds, theirs will be forgiveness and great reward. Is he then to whom the evil of his deeds is made fair seeming, so that he considers it as good, equal to the one who is rightly guided? Verily Allah sends astray whom he wills, and guides whom he wills. So destroy not yourself in sorrow for them. Truly Allah is all knower of what they do, and it is Allah who sends the wind, so that they raise up the clouds, and we drive them to the dead land, and revive therewith the earth after its death. As such will be the resurrection. Whosoever desires honor, power, and glory, then to Allah belongs all honor, power, and glory. To him ascends all the goodly words, and the righteous deeds exalt. But those who plot evil, theirs will be a severe torment, and the plotting of such will perish. So basically telling us that whoever wants honor, they should seek it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one with honor. And you can seek honor by obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you honorable, because we think that society will make us honorable if we go along with what they say. But it doesn't work like that. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will give you the honor. And if you want to be honorable, if you want to have dignity and respect, then be a good servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah will honor you in this life and in the next. So we're not just looking for honor here, because often I think people get a little bit confused thinking that I want to be all honorable here at the expense of the hereafter. We want to be honorable here, and we want to be honorable in the hereafter as well. So whoever desires honor, then to all honor belongs to Allah. So how do you become honorable in the sight of Allah? That you say good words and not bad words. And this includes things that you type, that you write, that you say to other people. Emojis that, even sort of like where you raise your eyes at people, sort of like draw emojis and so on. All the expressions that you use, all of these things, all of these things should be good words. And of the best words that you can say is the zikr of Allah, that the recitation of the Quran. So your good words, they actually ascend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the angel takes the report to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember we said that we have the angels on the shoulders, and every Fajr and Asr, there's a change of shift. So the ones that come at Asr, they leave at Fajr, and the ones that come at Fajr, they leave at Asr. And they go up and they take your deeds with them. So your words, your righteous actions, they go with the angels to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Righteous work raises it, which means that good words alone are not enough. Righteous action is also important. So you can't just sit there saying all these wonderful flowery things and not actually acting upon it. And sometimes what happens is that we're focused on completing a certain amount of recitation or zikr. And for example, people will do 100,000 times at something or the other, some type of zikr. But it's time to pray and they will not pray. So the fard of prayer comes first, and the dhikr you can do after. So it's not to say that don't do dhikr, but when it's time to pray, you pray. And we've seen this many a times when we've been in gatherings or where they've invited you over because there's a speaker or something. And what will happen is people will just sit there and no one will get up to pray. And they'll be, oh, we're talking about the good, we're talking about this, we're doing this, and there'll be nods after nods and this after the other, but nobody will actually pray. Prayer comes first, so you can't delay your prayer just for zikr. And I know the word just for zikr sounds a little bit it doesn't sound as important as it should be, but zikr is important after your salah. So if it's time for salah, it's time for salah. But the good words include zikr. So it's important that we do good words and we do righteous actions. So our salahs and so on, they should be on time too. All right, so ayah number, what ayah are we on? Okay, ayah number 8. Is he then to whom the evil of his deeds is made fair seeming, so that he considers it as good? Verily Allah sends astray whom he wills and guides whom he wills. So destroy not yourself in sorrow for them. Truly Allah is all knower of what they do. And it is Allah who sends the wind, so that they raise up their clouds, and we drive them to a dead land, and revive therein the earth after its death. As such will be the resurrection. Whosoever Sorry, we went back a few ayahs, not to worry, we'll carry on. Whosoever desires honor, power, and glory, then to Allah belongs all honor, power, and glory. To him ascends all the goodly words and the righteous good deeds. But those who plot evils, theirs will be a severe torment, and the plotting of such will perish. And Allah did create you, Adam, from dust, and then from nutfah. And then he made you pairs, male and female, and no female conceives or gives birth but with his knowledge. And no aged man is granted a length of life, nor is a part of it cut off from his life. But it is in a book, the Lawh Mahfuz. Surely that is easy for Allah. And the two seas are not alike. One is palatable and sweet and pleasant to drink, and the other is salty and bitter, and from them both, that you may seek of his bounty and that you may give thanks. Just like the sea, because people too are created from water. And there are some people who are sweet, they'll be easy to get along with, they bring positive energy, they'll say nice words, and it's going to be easy to get along with them. And then there's some that will be really miserable, or their words will be really bitter. They bring bitter experiences for you from their own bitter experiences that they've had in the past. And then it goes on in the ayah to say that you eat fresh meat, as in fish, and ornaments, as in pearls and corals. But so the same from these people, that even though they're bitter and they bring negative stuff, but there will be some sort of good in them, just as the sea has the bitter water. But even that bitter water has the corals and the pearls hidden inside them. So these people, they may on the surface seem very miserable or very bitter, but if you focus on them and if you sort of like look at certain things that they will say, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from them. They may have had experiences in life where what's made them like that. They probably were not like that to begin with, but they have become like that. And if you delve down deep enough, you will find the good in them somewhere. Ayah number 13. He merges the night into the day, and he merges the day into the night. And he has subjected the sun and the moon, each run its course for a term appointed. Such is Allah, your Lord. His is the kingdom, and those whom you invoke or call upon instead of him. Oh, not even a kimdar. So a kitmir, not a kimdar, is a kitmir. What is a kitmir? So the people that you worship do not even own a kitmir. So a kitmir is, we look at a date, and a date is quite small. And then inside the date, there's a seed. It's not even the seed. It's that little fine membrane, sort of like a tissue stuff that you find on top of the seed. That is kitmir. That is so weightless. Besides Allah, they don't even have that power as much as that little kitmir. So that people that others who are worshipped, they don't even have that much power as a kitmir. Ayah number 14. If you call upon them, they hear not your call. And if in case they were to hear, they could not grant your request to you, basically. And on the day of judgment, they will disown your worshipping them, and none can inform you, like him who is well acquainted. O mankind, it is you who stand in need of Allah, but Allah is the rich, free of all needs, and worthy of all praise. You may be healthy, you may be sick, you may be single, you may be married, you could have lots of friends, you could be a complete loner. No matter who you are still fakir. We all are in need of Allah. So we are absolutely dependent upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So never think that you can survive without Allah. Whatever you have is because of Allah. So don't ever be proud of what you have. And if we think about it, when we were born and you're young, you're a fetus at one stage. Who made you? Who's put you through these stages? So many things could have gone wrong, during the pregnancy of your mother. So many things could have gone wrong during the birth, your birth. How did everything function properly? How did everything go well? It was because of the will of Allah. Because Allah granted you this. He caused you to grow in the womb of your mother. He caused you to come to this dunya. He caused you to live in this dunya. And He will cause you to die. So you are fakir before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And fakirs, what do? They beg, they ask, and they keep exhibiting their needs to their Lord. So Allah is rich and doesn't need anything. He is all praiseworthy. He is perfect. And He is all those things even without you. But you are nothing without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So no matter what your state of neediness is, whether it is that you need health, you need physical health, you need mental health, you need friends, you need money, you need time, you need barakah in your life, you need anything that you can think of. Just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and expect it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because often we do a lot of complaining to people about our situation, but we don't complain to the one that we should be complaining to. And the people that we complain to, Allah can take away your sorrows. Allah can change your situation. Allah is free of all needs, and we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not need us. Ayah number 16. If he willed, he could destroy you and bring about a new creation, and that is not hard for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted, he would completely erase you from this dunya. He could remove you and he would bring about a new creation. And if he has given you life, and he is causing you to live, then this is a privilege. So we can't really moan about life or say, because we all happen to have this sort of like across the board thing about moaning about life. But life is a privilege, so you should not be taking it for granted. Don't think that, oh, I'm alive and what's the big deal in that? The big deal is that Allah has given you a life, Allah has caused you to live, and you are living because it is the will of Allah. And one day you will be gone because it will be the will of Allah. And no bearer of burdens shall bear another's burden. And if one heavily laden calls another to bear his load, nothing of it will be lifted, even though he be near of kin. You, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, can warn only those who fear their Lord unseen and perform a salah. And he who purifies himself from all kinds of sin, then he purifies only for the benefit of his own soul. And to Allah is the final return of all of us. So you are responsible for what you do. Ibn Abbas said that the son will meet the mother and the father, and they will request him to carry some of his burden. They will ask him to carry something of their burden. But he will say that I have my own burdens. I'm sorry, I cannot help you today. So each person will be carrying their own. And this, you can experience this in this life as well. You can see this in this life. That when life is good, then everything is fantastic. You have loads of friends and everybody wants to know you. But as soon as you fall upon hard times, then nobody wants to know. And that day, it will be the hardest time ever. So nobody will want to know each other. And in this dunya, people can help you with certain things, but at the end, you are alone. Like, for instance, people can help you with your assignment, but the written exam, you have to do it yourself. People will help you with childcare, but the birth, you have to give yourself. So there are certain burdens that we have to carry on our own. And this should remind us of the day of judgment, that these burdens that we have to carry them all by ourselves. Not alike are the blind and the seeing, nor are alike the darkness and the light, nor are alike the shade and the sunseed, nor are alike the living and the dead. Verily Allah makes whom He wills to hear and to hear, but you cannot make hear those who are in their graves. O you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are only a warner. Verily we have sent you with the truth, a bearer of glad tidings and a warner, and there never was a nation but a warner has passed amongst them. And if they deny you, those before them also denied their messengers who came to them with clear signs and with the scripture and the book giving light. Then I took hold of those who disbelieved, and how terrible was my punishment. See you not that Allah sends down water from the sky, and we produce therewith fruits of various colors, and amongst the mountain are streaks of white and red and of varying colors, and others are black. So fruits of various colors and taste. The water is the same, the earth is the same, but the results are different. So if you look at that, sometimes you see trees, there's always the apple tree, the pear tree, the so-and-so. The tree, it's still a tree, but it gives different fruit. The soil is the same soil, but a different type of fruit will grow from it. The mountains are, we just think they're mountains, but they're red, they're black, they're grey, they're different colors. The earth, it's different colors in different places. Even in the same country or in the same location, it can be different colors. And the earth, the stones, if you look at stones, they've got different colors to them, they've got different shapes to them, and yet they all come from the earth. And the mountains, they all look the same to us, but if you go close and if you have a look at it, if you examine it properly, they are very, very different. And it's the variety that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to this dunya. And like men and moving living creatures, and It is only those who have knowledge amongst his, sorry, and likewise men and moving living creatures and cattle are of various colors. It is only those who have knowledge amongst his slaves that fear Allah. Verily, Allah is Almighty, of forgiving. So here, people of knowledge are mentioned, meaning those who have knowledge of Allah, those who have knowledge of Allah's religion, those who truly fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So meaning that real knowledge produces fear and humility. Um, the knowledge that makes a person arrogant and proud, that is not real knowledge. That's just people just thinking, oh well, we have knowledge, where in actual fact their knowledge is from elsewhere. That is, they are, that's a delusion. It's dangerous when they think like that. And a person, what should they do when they have knowledge? They should not be proud about what they know. Ibn Masud said that knowledge is not about talking a lot, because we often assume that people who have knowledge, they're very confident and they're always chit-chatting. And
Mama, why don't you watch?
Sit down, Rachel. Yeah, sit in the room, shut it is about having fear of Allah. And Masud also said that it is sufficient for a person to be considered knowledgeable when he has fear of Allah. And it is sufficient for a person to be considered ignorant when he is proud and full of love for himself because of something good that he has done. So real knowledge creates fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And fear of Allah is something that we should all be working towards. We are, looking to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we are looking to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we are looking to make ourselves better, make ourselves more humble, make ourselves realize what we are actually heading towards. Verily, those who recite the book of Allah and perform as-salat and spend charity out of what we have provided, may pay them their wages in full and give them even more out of his grace. Verily, he is oft forgiving, most ready to appreciate. So, if you notice, the recitation of the Quran is mentioned right after knowledge, that the Quran increases a person in their knowledge and it increases a person in their fear as well. So in the Quran, it is that no matter when we start reading it, we start benefiting, we start profiting. And when you invest in the Quran, you mean that you invest in your relationship with the Quran, then you get far more from the Quran than you put in. So you recite a little bit, but you get lots and lots of reward. You learn a little bit in a language that you understand, but you get lots and lots of reward. So the recitation in itself, it carries a great deal of reward, even if a person does not understand the meaning of it. And I know we should be working towards understanding the meaning of it. But if you don't understand the meaning, you still are rewarded. So the recitation of the Quran is blessed, it's beneficial, and it brings about healing and reward. And the Prophet ﷺ said, recite the Quran because it will come on the day of judgment as an intercessor for its people. And the benefit of the Quran is that it is not just saved for the hereafter, but it benefits people here as well. So if you learn to recite it properly, it will bring you a sort of like benefit in this dunya as well. Ayah number 32. Then we gave the book as inheritance to such of our slaves whom we chose. Then of them are some who wrong themselves, and of them are some who follow a middle course, and of them are some who, by Allah's leave, foremost in their good deeds, the inheritance of the Quran. And this is indeed the great grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ummah, meaning us, we have the book, but not everybody treats the book in the same way, or not everybody takes the book in the same way. Where it says amongst them are some who wrong themselves. So how do they wrong themselves? How do they do that? They read the Quran, but they do not really bother to know what is in it. They read it and they don't read it. So they may have read it when they were young, which it was the case for many of us when we were growing up. you have this one time when you will go to mosque and you will learn the Quran, and then after that you just put it on a very high shelf. And then if you read it, if anyone learns from it, they don't actually follow it because one, they don't understand, and two, if someone has explained something to them from there, they don't actually follow it. They continue to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the knowledge that you have. And then it speaks about those who are moderate, so those who are in the middle. And who are they? That they sometimes they'll read it and sometimes they don't. They do a little here, they'll do a little there, to suit their lifestyle. And that's moderation. And amongst them are those who are foremost in good deeds by the permission of Allah. So this is the person who excels, who fears Allah. Their journey with the Quran never ends. They never leave the Quran alone. They are connected to it. So in such a way that every time they complete it, they start again. So they continue to read it, they continue to learn it, they continue to serve it, and they continue to follow it. They are the truly fortunate ones. Ayah number 34. And 33, ayah number 33. Eden paradise will they enter. Therein will be will be adorned with bracelets of gold and pearl, and their garments therein will be of silk. And they will say, all praise and thanks are Allah's, who has removed from us all grief. Verily, our Lord is indeed of forgiving, most ready to appreciate. That the things in this life, grief, in this dunya, it is only in the hereafter, it is only in Jannah that people will be saved from the hazan, where they will never ever be slaughtered. It will come in a shape of a form of a ram, and it will be slaughtered in front of the people. And the people in Jannah will increase in their joy, and the people in Jahannam, in hell, they will increase in their huzn, in their grief and their worry, in their sadness and in their regret. So this huzn, we should make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps us away from it, and it does not affect our life, because it's one of those things where it's sadness, worry, grief, all rolled into one, where we have this sadness, we have this worry, and we have this grief, but because we have it and we keep going on about it and we keep reliving it and we keep wanting, wanting to have sympathy for it, it just sort of like has a rolling effect. We keep doing it and it keeps coming back. We keep doing it, it keeps coming back. The only time this worry is going to leave us is leave us. And also we should be optimistic and we should be positive. So therefore this huzn, we should be very limited if we do come across a time in our life where there is this worry and grief. Ayah number 35. Who out of his grace has lodged us in a home that will last forever, where toil will not touch us, nor weariness will touch us, but those who disbelieve, for them will be the fire of hell, neither will it have a complete killing effect on them, so that they die, nor shall its torment be lightened for them. Thus do we requite every disbeliever. Therein they will cry, Our Lord, bring us out, we shall do righteous good deeds. Not that what we used to do. Allah will reply, did we not give you lives long enough so that whosoever would receive admonition could receive it? And the warner came to you, so taste you the evil of what you did. For the wrongdoers, there is no helper. There will be no helper. So people will say that, get us out of here. We will not repeat the same mistakes. We will never disobey again. Just give us one more chance. And they had many hours in their life. They had many years in their lives. They had many months in their lives. And they were also informed. Were you not told? They were also informed. But they chose to disobey. Not just once, but multiple times. So taste the punishment. So there is no help for the wrongdoers. So we learn in a hadith that the people of hell will call upon the angel who is appointed over the hellfire angel. The name of the angel is Malik. They will say to him, please do something. Please get us out of here. And it is said that the angel will not respond. And it will not respond for 14 years. Then finally, when he does respond, he will say, you are staying right here. So they are not going anywhere. Then it is said that they will call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will say, "Oh Allah, give us one more chance." And what is mentioned in this ayah that we will not do the same thing again and we will do righteous good deeds. So they're saying this, they are saying, "Oh Allah, give us one more chance. So we will go back to this dunya and we will do righteous good deeds." And Allah will say, "Stay in here and don't even speak to me." And then they will be in utter despair. So not exactly those words, "Oh, stay in here and don't even speak to me," but those are the words that were actually in the lesson. So I've used them, and in meaning that you're not going anywhere. You are staying here. You had lives that were long enough to learn, long enough to take heed, and what did you do? Ayah number 38. Verily, Allah is also whosoever disbelieves on him will be his disbelief, and the disbelief of the disbelievers adds nothing but hatred of their Lord, and the disbelief of the disbelievers adds nothing but loss. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell me what you think about your so-called partners to God, to whom you call upon besides Allah. Show me what they have created on the earth, or have they any share in the heavens, or have they been given a book so that they can act on clear proof therefrom? Nay, the wrongdoers promise one another nothing but delusion. Verily, Allah grasps the heaven and the earth, lest they should move away from their places. And if they were to move away from their places, there is not one that could grasp them after him. Truly, he is ever most forbearing and forgiving. And they swore by Allah their most binding oath that if a warner came to them, they would be more guided than any of the nations before them. Yet when a warner came to them, it increased in them nothing but flight from the truth. They took to flight because of their arrogance in the land and their plotting of evil. But the evil plot encompasses only him who makes it. Then can they expect anything but this way of dealing of the people of old? So no change will you find in Allah's way, and no turning off will you find in Allah's sunnah. It's meaning that we have here people who, in this verse, it speaks about people who plot against others. But when you plot against others, the person that suffers first and foremost is the person himself. So even though they're plotting for somebody else, they want the victim to be someone else, but their own plot, actually they become the first victim of their own plotting, their own conspiracy. We learn from Muhammad bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu. He said that there are three things which, no matter who does them, will not be saved until he suffers the same that he has tried to inflict on other people. And those three things are the makkar, plotting to harm someone first, and first he will be harmed before that person is harmed. The second is baghi, rebellion. When a person rebels, they first harm themselves. And the third is naqd, betrayal. When a person betrays others, they actually harm themselves. And this is also mentioned in the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ said that every betrayer will have a flag on the day of resurrection, meaning that such people will be exposed, they will be fully exposed. He said that the plotting and deception will be in the fire. So when you plot and plan, then don't think that you're winning in any sort of way. The plotters and the planners will be in the fire. And don't conspire with other people to do the same, because this just leads to fasad and fitna in this dunya. And plotting and planning and trying to get other people to fall on their knees and so on, this is not from the good characteristics of a Muslim. Ayah number 43. They took to flight because of their arrogance in the land. Ayah number 43. Sorry, I thought I'd gone ahead of myself. They took to flight because of their arrogance in the land and their plotting of evil, but the evil plot encompasses only him who makes it. And then they can expect anything else but there's a way of dealing of the people of old. So no change will you find in Allah's way of dealing, and no turning off will you find in Allah's sunnah. Have you have they not travelled in the land and seen what was the end of those before them, though they were in power to them? Allah is not such that anything in the heavens or in the earth escapes him. Verily, He is all-knower, all-powerful. And if Allah were to punish them for that which they earned, they would not leave. He would not leave a single moving creature on the surface of the earth, but He gives them respite to an appointed term. And when their term comes, then verily Allah is ever all-seer of His slaves. So that is the end of our surah. Let's do a quick recap. Let's say goodbye to our Facebook friends and our YouTube friends.